All right, I'm about to drop a hard truth about trading that most people never figure out. 95% of traders fail. Think about that for a second. It's not because they're stupid. It's not because they didn't study hard enough, or even because they picked the wrong strategy. So, what is the real problem? It's how they think. Trading isn't a game of perfect analysis, predicting the future, or finding some magic indicator. It's a mental game. A game of mastering your emotions, managing your risk, and frankly, just getting out of your own way. And until you figure that out, no strategy on earth is going to save you. In this video, we're going to dive deep into key lessons that separate the consistently profitable traders from everyone else. These aren't about complex charts, they're about transforming your mind. Let's get into it. The mindset divide, trader A versus trader B. Imagine this, two traders, same system, same starting account, same market. One ends up broke, the other ends up rich. How does that happen? Let's start with trader A, the guy who thinks trading is all about mastering the charts. He dives headfirst into technical analysis, spending years studying every indicator under the sun. Support and resistance levels, oscillators, moving averages. You name it, he's memorized it. He tweaks strategies, runs backtests, and obsessively analyzes the markets like he's trying to crack some secret code. And after 5 long years, his $10,000 account has shriveled down to $3,000, not because he's stupid, not because he didn't work hard, but because he chased the wrong goal. Now here's trader B. He starts with the same system, but a radically different focus. He studies one strategy, just one. He keeps it simple, and instead of spending years trying to perfect his analysis, he spends his time mastering his mind. He learns how to manage fear. He figures out how to stop overreacting to losses. He accepts that the market isn't there to hand him money, and that losing is part of the game. And little by little, trade by trade, his discipline pays off. After 5 years, that same $10,000, it's $250,000. And no, it wasn't luck. It wasn't a hot tip or some magic system. It was mindset, pure and simple. That's the difference. It's not about being the smartest person in the room. It's about being the calmest, the one who doesn't flinch when things go sideways, the one who knows how to stay focused when everyone else is freaking out. Trading isn't about predicting the future. It's about controlling yourself, and that's the mindset that separates the winners from everyone else. Lesson 1. The paradox of being right. Here's one of the biggest traps in trading, and almost everyone falls for it at some point. The idea that you've got to know what's going to happen next. We've all been there. You analyze the charts, line up your indicators, read the news, and then you convince yourself, this is it. The market's about to do exactly what I expect. But here's the brutal truth. The market doesn't care what you think. It doesn't care about your analysis, your trend lines, or how certain you feel. At any moment, some hedge fund can dump a massive position. A central bank can step in. An algorithm can fire off a chain reaction of orders. And your perfect setup? Gone in a heartbeat. That's why the best traders don't predict. They react. They don't sit around trying to guess the future like some wannabe market psychic. They play the probabilities. They know their edge. They take their shot when the odds are right. And when the market does something unexpected, because it always will, they adapt. Because in trading, it's not about being right. It's about being ready. You don't need to know what happens next. You just need to be in control of how you respond when it does. Lesson 2. The cycle of doom. Every trader's story starts the same way. They hit a few lucky trades right out of the gate. Money comes fast, everything feels easy, and before they know it, they think they've got it all figured out. That's the honeymoon phase. But then comes the gut punch, the big loss, the one that wipes out their confidence and a chunk of their account. And instead of stepping back and realizing, hey, maybe I got ahead of myself, they assume the problem is they just don't know enough. So what do? They dive headfirst into the endless ocean of indicators, trading systems, and chart patterns. They start piling on tools, watching every webinar, buying every course, thinking that if they can just learn more, they'll never have to take a loss again. But here's what really happens. The more they learn, the more they hesitate. The more they second-guess every setup. They analyze every trade to death and freeze when it's time to pull the trigger. Instead of getting better, they get stuck, trapped in this toxic cycle where chasing knowledge actually makes them worse because they're not learning how to trade. They're learning how to be afraid in a much more complicated way. And that's how most traders end up paralyzed by the very thing they thought would save them. Lesson 3. Your mental environment. Here's something nobody tells you when you start trading. You're not actually trading the market. You're trading your beliefs about the market. And most of those beliefs, they've been shaped by every painful trade you've ever taken. That time you chased a breakout and got slammed. Your brain files that under breakouts are dangerous. Next time you see a breakout, you hesitate. You doubt. You second guess yourself. Your mind isn't showing you the market as it is. It's showing you the market through a filter of fear, regret, and bad memories. And it's sneaky. You'll justify staying in a losing trade. You'll ignore a clear signal. You'll even convince yourself that a terrible setup is actually a good idea, all because your brain is trying to protect you from pain. But here's the kicker. That protection, it's what's hurting you most. Because when you trade through fear, you stop seeing the truth. And the market doesn't care about your fears. It's just doing what it does. The sooner you realize you're not battling the market, the sooner you start making real progress as a trader. Lesson 4. The market owes you nothing. If there's one truth every trader needs to tattoo on their brain, it's this. The market doesn't owe you a thing. Not a winning trade, not a fair bounce, not a lucky break. The market is just a giant scoreboard for money-changing hands. It's neutral. It doesn't care if you win, lose, or blow up your account. So when you catch yourself thinking, the market took my money, or it wasn't supposed to do that, stop. The market didn't do anything to you. You made decisions, you placed trades, you took risks. And that means your results, all of them, are on you. That might sound harsh, but it's actually the most freeing mindset you can have. Because if the market isn't out to get you, if it's not personal, then your success isn't about trying to control the market. It's about controlling yourself, your thinking, your actions, your risk. That's where the real power is. Lesson 5. The 5 fundamental truths. There are 5 truths about trading that separate the pros from everyone else. And once you really accept them, everything changes. First, anything can happen. Doesn't matter how good your setup looks. Doesn't matter what your indicators say. At any moment, the market can do something completely unexpected and blow your trade right out of the water. Second, you don't need to know what happens next to make money. This one's tough because most traders think their job is to predict the future. It's not. Your job is to play the odds and manage your risk when the odds don't play out. Third, wins and losses show up in random order. You might win 5 trades in a row. You might lose 5 trades in a row. Doesn't mean your strategy's broken. That's just how randomness works. The distribution evens out over time, not trade by trade. Fourth, an edge is just a probability, not a promise. If your system has a 60% win rate, that means over 100 trades, you'll probably win about 60. But any single trade, it's a coin flip, and you've got to treat it that way. And fifth, every moment in the market is unique. That setup you saw last week, this one looks like it, but it's not the same. Different buyers, different sellers, different conditions. Nothing ever plays out exactly like before, and that's why you've got to trade what's in front of you, not what you wish it was. When you stop fighting these truths, when you actually accept them, you stop trading with fear, and you finally unlock the consistency you've been chasing. Lesson 6. The dog story. Fear conditioning. Let me break it down with a simple story. Imagine a little kid meeting a dog for the first time. He's curious, walks right up, and the dog bites him. Now, every dog that kid sees after that, doesn't matter if it's a sweet little puppy with a wagging tail. In his mind, every dog is a threat. That's exactly what happens to traders. You take a painful loss on a setup, and even if that loss was just bad luck or part of the game, your brain locks it in like a trauma file. Next time you see the same setup, your hands freeze, your head floods with doubt. You hesitate, miss the entry, or bail out too soon. And it's not because the setup's bad. It's because you're reacting to the ghost of a past trade. Most traders don't actually trade the market. They trade their memories of what went wrong before. And until you figure out how to stop dragging that baggage into every trade, you'll keep making decisions based on fear, not on reality. Lesson 7. Think like a casino. If you really want to understand how professional traders think, stop looking at other traders and start looking at a casino. A casino doesn't care who wins a hand of blackjack, doesn't care who hits the jackpot, doesn't even flinch when someone walks out with a pile of cash. Why? Because the casino isn't playing for the next hand, it's playing for the next 100,000 hands. They know their edge. They know the math is on their side. And they know that over time, as long as they stick to their system, they'll come out on top. Now, flip that around and look at the gambler. The gambler is obsessed with every single bet. Win and they feel like a genius. Lose and the game's rigged. Most traders act like gamblers. They hang everything on the next trade. They ride the emotional roller coaster. Win, lose, win, lose. But the traders who win long term, they think like casino owners. They know their edge isn't about one trade. It's about 1,000. They don't get emotional about wins or losses because they trust the law of large numbers. Manage your risk. Stick to your system. And over time, the math will take care of the rest. Lesson 8. The 3 sacred rules. There are 3 rules that every serious trader lives by, and if you break any of them, you're not a trader, you're a gambler in disguise. Rule number 1. Always predefine your risk before you enter a trade. That means knowing exactly how much you're willing to lose before you ever click buy or sell. If you can't accept the loss before the trade starts, you've got no business taking it. Rule number 2. Cut your losses the moment your stop is hit. No questions, no exceptions. Not, let me give it a little more room. Not, it's got to bounce back. The second your stop is hit, you're out. Because if you're staying in after your stop, you're no longer trading your edge. You're gambling and hoping for a miracle. Rule number 3. Have a systematic way to take profits. Let's see what happens is not a strategy. Your profits need a plan, one that takes your emotions out of the equation. Because if you're making exit decisions based on fear or greed, you're dead in the water. These 3 rules are how you move into what we call the mechanical stage. It's where trading stops being an emotional circus and starts being a disciplined, systematic process. No guessing, no hoping, just clean, controlled execution. That's how real traders operate. Lesson 9. The 4 trading fears. If there's a hit list of trader killers, it's these 4 fears. And every blown account in history can probably be traced back to one of them. First up, the fear of being wrong. Somehow, we convince ourselves that if we take a losing trade, it means we're failures, like we should have seen it coming. Like we're idiots for missing the obvious sign. But guess what? Losing trades don't make you a bad trader. They make you a trader, period. It's part of the game. Next, the fear of losing money. This one cuts deep because, let's be honest, money means security. Losing it feels like your future slipping away. And that fear drives you to make terrible decisions, using stops that are too tight, bailing out too early, or freezing when it's time to pull the trigger. Then there's FOMO, the fear of missing out. You see a move, you miss the entry, and suddenly it feels like the market's stealing money right out of your pocket, so you chase it. Bad entry, bad risk, bad outcome. Every time. And finally, the fear of leaving money on the table. You take your profit and then watch the market keep running. And it eats at you. So next time, you hold on too long, or you jump back in for a revenge trade and end up giving it all back. These fears are what wreck most traders. Not bad setups or bad luck. But here's the key. When you fully accept risk, when you stop needing to be right, stop fearing loss, stop chasing, and stop trying to catch every last dollar, those fears lose their grip. Because fear can't control a trader who's already accepted the worst-case scenario, and once you do that, you trade free. Lesson 10. Inside a professional trader's mind. Let me introduce you to Sarah. She's not a Wall Street hotshot. She's not some trading guru flexing Lambos on Instagram. Sarah's just a professional trader, which means she does the one thing most people never figure out. She follows her rules. Every time. Before she takes a trade, she knows exactly how much she's risking. She knows her setup. She knows when she's getting out, win or lose. And when the trade's over, if she followed her plan, she calls it a success, even if it lost money. There's no fist pumping when she wins, no desk slamming when she loses. Because Sarah understands something most traders never do. It's not about the outcome of any single trade. It's about executing your edge over and over without emotion. That's why professional trading isn't flashy. It's not a roller coaster. It's methodical. It's disciplined. Honestly, it's kind of boring. But that's the point. Because when you treat trading like a job, and your job is to execute with precision, not chase excitement, that's when the real money starts to show up. Lesson 11. Entering the zone. Let's talk about the zone. That flow state every trader dreams of, where everything just clicks. You're not overthinking. You're not second-guessing. You're not chasing or hesitating. You're just locked in, fully present, making decisions with complete clarity. But here's the thing most people get wrong. The zone isn't some magical state you stumble into by luck. It's not reserved for the trading elite, and it definitely isn't something you force by hyping yourself up. The zone shows up naturally when you clear out the mental garbage, the fear of losing, the need to be right, the obsession with predicting every tick. When all that noise goes quiet, the zone takes over. Because there's nothing left in your head getting in the way. And the way you get there, not by trying harder, but by conditioning your mind through discipline, trade after trade, until focus and flow just become how you operate. That's when you stop fighting the market and start moving with it. Lesson 12, the 30-day transformation protocol. So how do you actually change the way you think and trade? It's not some overnight epiphany. It's a process. And if you're serious, here's your blueprint. Week 1 is all about awareness. You stop live trading. You start paper trading, but with a twist. Every time you make a move, you document your thoughts, your emotions, even your gut reactions. You basically become your own psychologist. Why? Because you can't fix what you don't see. Week 2 is reprogramming. Now you start visualizing disciplined execution every single day. You practice catching your emotions before they hijack your trades. You hit the pause button before fear or greed make the decisions for you. And yeah, you're going to talk to yourself in affirmations. Because this is about rewiring your mindset, not giving yourself a pep talk. Week 3, integration. This is where you get back in the game, but with tiny position sizes, just enough to feel the pressure. And every single trade, you're watching your behavior, not your P&L. Did you follow your rules? Did you keep your head straight? That's what matters. Week 4 is expansion. You start scaling up slowly. But you don't move up just because you're making money. You move up when your discipline holds, when you're not falling back into old habits. And through it all, you're doing weekly reviews, not to admire your wins or cry over losses, but to spot patterns in your mindset. Where are you strong? Where are you slipping? What needs more work next week? That's the roadmap, not a crash course, not a quick fix. A system for transforming the way you think, trade, and ultimately, the results you get. Closing message, the matrix moment. So here you are, standing at the crossroads every trader eventually hits. You've got a choice. You can take the blue pill, keep trying to predict the market, control every outcome, chase certainty, and keep getting smacked around by fear, frustration, and failure. You can take the red pill and finally accept that trading is a game of uncertainty and probability. A game where mastery comes from controlling yourself, not the market, where you stop fighting the chaos and start flowing with it. Or you can take the black pill, the worst one of all, the pill of knowing exactly what you should do and never doing it, stuck in the same cycle, chasing new systems, jumping from hope to hope, but never changing. Here's the truth. The market's never going to change. It'll always be unpredictable, unforgiving, and absolutely indifferent to your feelings. The only thing that can change is you. Your success has nothing to do with finding some secret strategy, and everything to do with reshaping how you think, how you act, and how you handle risk. Because at the end of the day, it's not more knowledge you need. It's a new mental framework. That's the real edge, and that's the edge nobody can take from you. Final takeaway. The answer you're chasing, it's not in the charts, it's not in the indicators, and it's definitely not hiding in some secret strategy. The answer is, and always has been, in your mind. Change the way you think, and you'll change the results you get. Because when you master your mindset, you stop trading like everyone else, and you finally start trading like a professional. Thanks for being here, really. If there's something you want us to dig into, drop it in the comments. If you're finding value in this, a like, share, or subscribe helps more than you know. And if you're looking to take things further, check the links in the description. Everything we recommend is there. Want to keep feeding your brain? Click here for the next one. Stay sharp, stay disciplined, and as always, trade hard.